Lord, just open mine eyes that I may see. Lead me, oh Lord, won't you lead me?
A few years ago, I was out and about one evening, and there was a bit of music going on, you know. So, you know, I'm up at the dance. That was my dance moves. I'd been better than that. I was a bit young in those days. And so I got up, and there I was on the dance floor, giving it my best shot, my best John Travolta. And I was suited and booted, as always. And I came away. Had a drink with a collection of friends, had a drink, and then the music, I was off again. I was up there giving it my best again. And I came back, had another drink, and you know how the night progresses. And the music, one more time, and I was getting better each time, and I was enjoying it more. And I went back and decided to have a chat. And so I picked my drink up, you see, and I took a sip from the drink, and the old nose started going, oh, right, okay. Chat. Lifted the drink, had it on the drink. What is that? You know, the nose knows, you know. What's that? One more time. Oh. It was me. Oh, for goodness sake. In the midst of the dancing on the dance floor and wearing the suit, I thought, oh, goodness gracious me, it's me. So the armpits come down like that. I thought, the next time I'm on the dance floor, I'll go, I thought, now, this is ridiculous. And I thought, well, I better be off. Because I smell off, let's be honest. So I did. I cut the night. I said, well, it's nice to see everybody. Good night. And I left. And I walked home, you know, as you do. And I thought, oh, this is terrible. I thought, now, surely, if I could smell me, they could smell me. Why didn't somebody say, Lee, you old stinker. you know, you're stinking the place out. And it's unusual for me, because I'm usually deodoranted up to the eyeballs. But nobody told me. And so, yes, I walked quite stiff-armed down the road and back home. But here's the question. If you were next to a friend, and you suddenly whiff their armpits, or their breath is a bit dicey, would you tell them? It's one of those, isn't it? It's one of those. We know we should. We really should. For it's their own good. But we don't always say it, do we? It's difficult to say such things. To use words which may be a little harsh, but for the good of somebody. To tell them something. And so I thought I would address this morning. These times in life when harsh words are needed and maybe actually necessary. But do we always say them? Should we say them? Our first approach this morning, if we break it into two divisions, will be when we are needed to be told harsh words and take them on board. And the second division will be when we could do with telling other people, when a harsh word may be necessary for others, for their own good. So, our first reading this morning, first book of Kings, chapter 19, verse 1 to 8, read for us by Audrey. We heard, didn't we, Elijah. Now, just prior to our reading, we heard that Elijah, Jezebel, is not happy with him. Because Elijah, just verses before, has disclaimed the prophets of Baal, who Jezebel is a big fan of. She likes Baal's prophets because they tell her what she wants to hear. Elijah's brought out the test, hasn't he? He has said, well, bring your god Baal, and we shall have the altar set up. We shall place an offering upon it, and call Baal to light this by fire. And they call by hours. The prophets of Baal are calling upon their god, and nothing is happening. And of course we know then Elijah asks for jars of water to be tipped over to the altar. He soaks the whole area. and calls upon God, our God, to send down the fire, to light up this burnt offering, which God does. Licks up the water. Elijah has proclaimed God's glory, and God has provided. Jezebel's not happy. We hear. And she now says, by all the gods that I have, what you've done to my prophets I shall do to you. And we hear, at the beginning of our reading, Elijah flees for his life. He runs, taking a servant with him, hoping to get to Mount Horeb, which is Mount Sinai. We heard in the reading that on the midst of the journey, he drops off the servant and continues through the wilderness. A wilderness Elijah walks through. In the midst of the wilderness, he lays down, he sits down by the juniper tree, I believe it's called. And a wave of despair obviously crosses over him, because we hear him say, verse 4, "It is enough. Now, Lord, take my life, for I am no better than my fathers. It is enough. Now, Lord, take my life." He wanted to die. How did God deal with him? Did God say? Let's not forget, he'd called upon God just days before. God, bring down the flames. God sent down the flames. And here he is making an impassioned plea. I've had enough, God. Take my life. Did God say, well, okay then, being as you ask? He didn't, did he? But at the same time, God didn't, what we may describe as mollycoddle him, did he? He didn't say, oh, there, let's stroke your brow. My son, don't you worry about it. I'll stroke your brow, no problem. Don't worry. Let me give you a cuddle. God didn't, did he? We're told the angel arrived. He woke Elijah and said, "Arise and eat." There was some bread and some water. Elijah then lay down again, and he was woken for the second time. And the angel says, "Arise and eat. Your journey is too great for you." God told him, "Get up." "Get up," said God. And God sustained him for what we are told would have been, from the wilderness to the Mount Sinai, 200 miles, 40 days and 40 nights. God sustained him. "Get up and eat," said God. Now, as I say, let's not forget who we're talking about here. Elijah was a prophet. He was a mouthpiece of God. He spoke God's word. He just proclaimed the power of God. Surely this is a man who should not have felt fear or doubt or despair, for he had just called upon God and God had answered him just days before. He was a believer in God. Why would he have fear, doubt, or despair? But it's the fallacy, isn't it? It's the fallacy that as Christians we shouldn't have fear, we shouldn't have doubt, or we shouldn't have despair. We have God. What do we have to fear and doubt and despair? But the reality is, we all have, like Elijah, to walk a wilderness, don't we? At times in our life, we have to walk a wilderness. We have to walk a time of trouble, a time of problem, a time of concern. For we are human beings, and we all face it. You Christians shouldn't despair, say those who don't believe you have a God. You tell us God's glorious, what are you despairing for? But we do. If Elijah can, we can. The boxer, Tyson Fury. Undoubtedly you heard last week that he won the WBC World Heavyweight Championship of the world. Here is a man 6'9" and nearly 20 stone, a man mountain coming towards you. 3 years ago, undoubtedly you've read of his story. You may have read of his story. If you don't, let me just quickly recount it. He was a man who was already a world champion. He'd reached a pinnacle. But then he felt despair. He felt despondency. Tyson Fury, a man of 6'9" and nearly 20 stone, reached a point in his documentary you'll have heard last week on the TV that one evening he gets into his Ferrari car with the multi-millionaires that he has, and he drives at full speed with the intention of smashing the car into a wall, him with it, ending his life. Here is a man who has millions of pounds. He has cars, he has prestige, and more importantly, he's an ardent Christian. He's a devout Christian. And yet this man felt this despair. The same despair as Elijah had felt that day underneath the juniper tree. But Tyson Fury says within his documentary, as he travelled heading towards this wall which he knew he wanted to go towards, he was told, no, don't do it. Stop. Whatever inside him told him, he stopped. He was told to, in other words, get up and eat. And he stopped. Now, he did get up and eat, to be fair. He didn't kill himself, but he went to 30 stone. He got up, but he stopped himself. And he is an ardent Christian. So God says to us, at times of difficulty, get up. Get up and eat. He won't always mollycoddle us. He won't always hug us. He won't always wipe our brow. Sometimes God will speak and we'll hear him by a harsher word saying, get up and eat. Now, God's not asking us to eat a burger and chips. He's not asking us to have a curry or your favourite roast lunch. God's asking us to eat. Eat what he provided. Eat what will sustain us more than 40 days and more than 40 nights. He provides for us the bread of life. The bread of life he gives for us. That will help us get up in times of despair and times of trouble. And has it helped us before? My friends, each one of you have walked your own wilderness in times of life. You know you have. You may be facing it now, a difficulty now that's creating difficulty for you. But you've walked a wilderness and you've come through it. We've all come through it. Because somewhere in us God said, get up and eat. We've had to face the troubles and move on. The bread of life, Jesus. That's the bread we eat upon. The sustaining word of the Lord, who then for more than 40 days and 40 nights sustains us. So if he sustains us by his word, and that's how we get up and eat, by the harsh word of God, how can we help others? Well, we heard in our New Testament reading, taken from the Gospel of John chapter 5 verse 1 to 9. We heard that Jesus is back in Jerusalem. A Jewish festival is coming upon, be it the Pentecost or the Passover. It's the law of the land that any man over the age of 20 must attend these festivals, and Jesus is here. And walks in, as we heard, by the sheep gates of the pool of Bethsatha, or Bethesda, as some say, the house of mercy. A place that has 5 high porches. And in each porch, as we heard, is a person who has an ailment, a sickness, blind, lame, paralysed. We're told Jesus sees a man, and he knows that this man has been here on and off for 38 years. 38 years this same man has been here. He's obviously here because he has a difficulty, he has a problem. Does the man see Jesus coming and shout, Son of David, it's me, come to me, I need your help, as we've heard others in the good book do? Does he attempt to reach, as the lady did, for the garment of Jesus and touch him for aid of help? He does nothing, does he? We're told this man doesn't say a word. Indeed, it's the other way around. Jesus spots him. Jesus goes to him, not because he's called upon, but he sees him. He goes to him and says, do you want to be made well? Do you want to be made well? Consider the question that Jesus is asking. It's an unusual one for him, isn't it? He's not saying, let me help you, my brother, I'll put my hands upon you. Do you want to be made well? He asks the question of the man. He knows he's been there 38 years and he asks him, do you want to be made well? To which we know the man, sir, I've been here and nobody's lifted me. He provides his reason for why he's been there 38 years. In the same way as his father said, Jesus then says to him, rise, take up your mat and walk. Here we have harsher words from the Lord. Do you really want to get well? Then pick up your mat and walk. Assertive words from Jesus. These are necessary for this man. Why does he say it to him? He's seen him there 38 years. Is it that this man has just become now used to sitting there? Has he become used to accepting alms? Is it his way of life? Sometimes it's necessary for assertive words to be asked of others. Those questions we don't need to say. Those questions we should ask, should I say. It's necessary for sometimes to say some things to people that they may not necessarily wish to hear. But ultimately, it's for their own good. Now, as you know, my friends, invariably, I pick up inspiration from sermons and services all over the place. And yes, indeed, it's often from you, my friends, where I pick up the inspiration, and today was no different. Today, I had inspiration from a member of our congregation. I was having a conversation with this member of the congregation, well, it's all linking in, member of the congregation, having a conversation, and when they recounted a story to me, and there were others around it, and you may well know who they are as soon as I commence the recounting it. No names will be mentioned, all I shall say is it inspired me. This member of the congregation told me of an occasion where two friends of theirs, one wasn't feeling well, and they went to the house and they looked upon this person. And as soon as our member of the congregation looked upon this person, they said to them, put your shoes on, you're going to hospital. Put your shoes on, you're going to hospital. And the friend put their shoes on, and I believe they went to hospital and felt better. They needed to go. It needed assertive words for the good of this person. Put your shoes on, we're going. In life, we have to sometimes use assertive words for the good of others. I won't wager you because we're in the house of God. I don't need to wager you on what I'm about to say. I'll guarantee you. Any one of you puts me in your car, because I can't walk there at the moment, and we go down to Whit Marines, just down from the Molyneux Stadium, the New Hampton Road. We'll get to where there's a church called St Andrews. Do any of you know it? I'm sure some of you have passed it. Right across the road, underneath the paving, you will find a homeless man lying there. I will wager you anything you'd like. He's sitting there right now as we speak. How do I know? He's been there 6 months. I've passed him twice a week when I walk to the cemetery where I go. And every time I passed him, hello, mate. He's got to know me. Hello, mate. And invariably, I bunged him £1. God bless you. Good luck to you. When I read this, 2 or 3 weeks ago, I came across this text. Jesus, get up. Do you really want to get well? And I determined this day that it struck me, and I thought, as I'm walking down here, he's going to ask me for £1. I know he is. And there he was. He saw me coming. And the question needs to be asked of this man. Do you really want to be on the streets? Do you really want to still be on these streets 6 months? And if he says no, pick up your stuff and walk. There are places in Thornley Street, there are places on the Tetnall Road which will offer you assistance and home and shelter. It needs to be asked of this man. And I'm approaching him and I thought, right, this is it now. This is it. I'm inspired. And I'm coming close and he's looking and thinks, here comes £1. And I'm getting closer and closer. And I thought, this is it. You're getting it now, boy. This is it. And as he come, he said, hello, mate. He said, you got £1? And I said, I've got nothing. I'm sorry. I bottled it. I walked on. I did the worst of everything. I didn't help the man. I didn't offer him any words. And he plagued me. Continued for my walk for another hour and a half, and he plagued me all the way. I'd let him down. I'd let God down. He needs to hear the words, this man. Because like our man in the thing, he's got used to sitting there. And my giving him £1 each time, I'm perpetuating that. I'm keeping the man there. Because he thinks, oh, here comes my money. Jesus obviously saw in the man here for 38 years. He needed to be asked, do you want to get well? And I'm telling you, my friends, next time, I've gone past him twice and he's been asleep and I don't want to wake him up. But I'll get him. I didn't want to ask him really, I suppose, because I thought, he's in dire straits. What's it to me to start having a dig at him? But sometimes in life we have to ask these things. We have to say these things. For the good of a person's life. Now, very quickly. We have to say these words because it can save a person's life. Sometimes harsh words have to be asked or said to people. As God said to Elijah and Jesus to the man. We heard the sorrowful story 2 weeks ago of the young presenter, Caroline Flack. And undoubtedly you heard it on the news. She took her own life. I don't know if Caroline Flack had a belief. I don't know. What I do know is that she had a loving family surrounding her and friends who even stayed with her as long as they could. I would imagine that the family and the loving friends of Caroline Flack were offering loving, kind words. Come on, Caroline, come on. I suggest sometimes, my friends, sometimes a harsher word may be necessary. Come on. Put yourself, come on. I understand it's not easy, but sometimes these words need to be said. In a society today where religion isn't being taught in schools, it's not being taught in schools no more. My nephew's school don't teach it at all. Is it a wonder that we see teenage suicides going up? They have no belief. They have nothing to hang on to. They don't believe they have anyone. They don't have anyone to say, get up and walk. My friends, I will get that man down in the New Hampton Road. If he kills me, I'll speak to him. Because I'm not helping him otherwise. He needs some strong words now. And it may not help him. I say, on your bike. I want the £1 and nothing else. But if we don't make an effort, we can't do anything. We say these assertive words with best intentions. We can say to somebody, put your shoes on. We're going. We can say to somebody, do you really want to be well? Or we can say as God, get up and eat. We say it out of love, not out of harshness. God bless you, and amen.
Lead me, O Lord, won't you